like little clones, I mean, that's what it comes down to, but you have to rethink the way you do things, because we have to remember why the industry's gotten to where it is right now. So, this probably goes, obviously looking at our beards, you're a little grayer than me. So, you get a decade. So here's the thing. Like when I, even looking back, like when we got into it, you'd have a trailer with a 36-inch walk behind and maybe a 60-inch or a 48 or whatever, and then you go to these landscaping shows and then you're like, holy shit, there's a 72-inch stand-on, Gravely's making a 72-inch stand-on, or, 104-inch bat wing, and you're looking at these things, because in order for us to become more efficient, all that the manufacturers have been doing is just making things bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The problem is the yards are not big enough for these big pieces of equipment. When I'm mowing an island at a Costco, I can barely even get a push mower on it. So the guys are just using a string trimmer, it's right. So in the past, the solution was make stuff bigger so that you can still compete in that $30 to $50 an acre range that the consumer expects.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm trying to do with the show, and that we're trying to do, is get landscapers to understand when they see our small robot mowers that it's okay to go back. It's like we're going back to that time where things got mowed with a 21-inch push mower because nobody cared, because labor was $2 an hour.
Yeah.
So price of labor went up.
Labor
so
was cheap, equipment was expensive.
Yes. So the size of the mowers got bigger. The mowers got more expensive with the labor. What robotic mowing does is says, hold on, you don't need to care how long this thing takes. Like when I tell people it mows 1.25 acres in 24 hours, people are like, what? Especially professionals, because they're like, that's insane. I can mow 1 acre on my zero turn in 11 minutes, and it's like,
yep.
Yeah, totally different mindset. You don't care if it takes 24 hours because there's nobody sitting on it.
Yeah, you're not showing up.
Yeah, nobody's there. It's just out there continuously working. So
you didn't have to put a guy in a $40,000 truck to drive 20 minutes or 30 or 40 minutes there. Who cares how long?
Yeah,
doing it every day. So, and they never call in sick.
Well, yes. So we could really expand on that. They don't call in sick. You don't have to give them a drug test. Okay. Like, you don't, eventually, we're going to get to a day and age, especially in the snow industry. I've said this before, where, they're monitoring how long someone's shift is because they're in a truck, just like the truck drivers are having to do, and honestly, the industry doesn't have any solutions for this yet. Okay. We just keep kicking the can, and it's one of the things that makes our industry with every passing year seem less and less professional, because think about what's happening. Okay. The companies that can pay somebody $100,000 or $150,000 a year can turn someone down when they don't pass a drug test. Okay. Those companies can say you need to have a college education to work in this industry. Okay. They can do all those things. But in the landscape maintenance industry, I'm not saying design and build, because of course there's money in that for someone to be a landscape architect and do their thing. But the landscape maintenance industry, contractors all over the country are getting stuck with, oh my gosh, this person failed the drug test, but what drug was it? Listen, I've seen drug tests and I'm like, oh, it's only weed. Because you just need somebody to sit on the damn lawnmower.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's even if it's, you can't do that with CDL drivers and stuff, but you need someone to sit on the lawnmower.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So it's like, now I find myself and some people would say like, oh my gosh, how can you admit this on a podcast? But I'm saying the things that no one else wants to admit. Okay. The reality of it is, you look and you say, okay, who's the guy driving the truck? That guy's driving the truck. Well, good. He passed the drug test. Okay. Yeah. Who's the guy that's just pulling weeds? Okay. All right. Do we even want to drug test those people? Because that's what it's like coming down to. And anybody that says that's not the case, you're just not hiring a lot of people in the industry. You know, anybody, if somebody's just them and a brother and you know, a friend of theirs from high school, yeah, okay, who cares? You're not at the position where you're drug testing people and you've got to look into their background. You already know who they are. When you get to the point where you're scaling a business and you're just bringing in people off the street, you realize very quickly how hard it is to hire somebody and do it on a professional level. You know,
it is, and that's where labor's been the challenge. And you know what? I've had so many people ask me, because since I'm working with AOS and I worked at that other company, and they're like, dude, why don't you just start your own business? And I just go, oh God, I'm done. I don't want to do it. I don't want the response. I don't need the stress. If you got two guys that don't, let's say it's a small business. Let's say it's $1 million business. You got 15 employees. 3 guys don't show up. You got to make 10 phone calls. The customers are mad. You're the one responsible. I go, I don't want the responsibility for it. Yeah. I don't want to have to make payroll anymore. I don't want to have to pay the insurance. I don't want to deal with someone just hit a fire hydrant or backed into a car, you know, because all that stuff happens. And you know what? Accidents happen. And on the positive side, your people make the company. So you want to find good people. I mean, plain and simple, like the office staff and a lot of the workers and stuff. But you're going to get some rotten eggs. You're going to have some guys that just pull weeds. You're like, oh God, this guy. But he's a warm body and you need him. But the majority at Langton Group and AOS, everybody, you know, I love Julia to death. The then the Langton office, there's people, I mean, everybody, it's dysfunctional at times, but it's an organized dysfunction. We're going back and forth, figuring jobs and throwing packets back and forth. And like, when are we doing this? How's this? You take this lead. And it's a little bit of mayhem this time of year, which is great. I like trial by fire.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is it's like I always say, it's like a family party, you know, every day at Langton, because, you know, the thing is, you know, Tanner's your son, but I feel like he's almost like partially my son, younger brother. I don't know how to put it, because he's been with the company since he was 17 years old. You have my brother and I, which we're not immune to some brotherly rivalry arguments where I have to remind him I'm the 6'4" gorilla and to step down, you know, and he has no problem getting it, you know. So it is an interesting dynamic, but I think it's one that makes people want to come to that job every day, you know, because there's nothing boring or mundane about what we do, you know.
Well, and I thought it was hilarious a couple of weeks ago that one guy, Richard came in and he started looking around, the builder guy, and he's like, so do I have to grow a beard now?
That's right. Everybody's got beards.
Everybody in the office had a beard.
Yeah, except for Brenda, you know. So, know.
Yeah, except for Brenda.
Oh, man. So
she's got a disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you know, obviously now cat's out of the bag. People know that you're with us now, right? So, do you know, where do you see from like things that you've seen in the industry, you know, how long do you think it's going to take the industry to adapt to what we're doing, you know? Because you always say to me that you always kind of compare it to brick pavers, you know, and how when you first got into brick pavers, it seemed like nobody was doing them, and now everybody does it, you know. So, you know, what do you think? What's your prediction on timeline of adoption?
8 years.
8 years?
8 years. You'll see it double. You'll see it's going to be, like I said, the brick company, 60, 120, 240, 500. All right. You got to run that out, I think, in the industry. Give it 3 years and you're going to have 25% saturation. By 5 or 6 years, you'll be at 50 or 60%. And then at that point, I think by the time you hit 8, most 80% of your landscape companies are going to have a robotic option.
Yeah,
that's and it'll be interesting to go back and look at this in 5 years to see.
Well, maybe that's what we need to do. So, we're going to have to do another podcast in 5 years, and we're going to have to
Yep.
check your numbers. And
We'll-
you're either going to
we'll
get
do a chart.
it's either going to be I told you so, or I can roast you about it.
Yeah, well, hey, I've been wrong before. The one thing is I have almost no pride, no humility left. I've used it all up at this point, so you can roast me as much as you want. I could very possibly be wrong, but I think there's no way that you're not at 40 or 50% saturation in 8 years. But I think it'll be higher than that. I just want it's a snowball. That's the best way I can describe it. Is it? You know what? It's like you can't put the toothpaste back in the horse. I heard that the other day.
Wait, run that one by me again.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the horse.
Okay.
It's a mixture of you can't put the horse back in the barn and you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So anyway.
I was thoroughly confused for a second. There was smoke coming out of my ears trying to figure out what the hell that actually
So
meant.
let's just go with you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Once it starts rolling, you're not going to be able to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It just takes a while to convince people. And the more people see it, the more it'll catch on. It's like, and it's no different than it. Let's go back to phones. The suitcase car phone, late 80s, mid-late 80s. This packet, this little suitcase, boom. And how many people had them? 2%, and that went to 5%.
I know, and everybody made fun of the dudes walking around with them, saying it looked like they had a purse.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So, but you know what? 20 years, 40 years later, 30 years later, everybody's got a computer in their pocket. You know, your cell phone is like 10,000 times, has 10,000 times the memory and tech in it that they had when they launched the Apollo 13 for the Mars mission. That's how much power.
So I did not know that.
Literally, like my understanding is like 10,000 times the memory space and computer hardware that we set down on the moon with in everybody's pocket. That's ridiculous, insane.
We're going to have to fact check that, but I could see that being a micro quote, Brandon. That's what I see on social media. Well, we'll have to, yeah. That's interesting. You learn something new every day. So I always ask this. This is where I put people in the hot seat. So what do you want your legacy to be, Brandon?
You know what? I don't really. I'm not one. I want to live and have fun. I work so that I can play. I enjoy accomplishing things legacy-wise. I want to be known as a great father to my 2 sons and a great brother, and a good friend for those people around me. I mean, that's really. I would love to see. And we've had discussions before over the years, and like, I don't need my name up in lights. I'm fine just being happy. I don't have a huge legacy goal. Not everybody in the industry, a lot of people. I picked up the phone yesterday. I called one of the suppliers, and I'm like, "Do you guys have your price catalog yet?" And it was Jen. Jen. She goes, "Is this Brandon?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Hi, Jen." She goes, "Oh, I haven't talked to you forever, but I've been dealing with her at different landscape suppliers for 30 years. So everybody kind of knows me." Well, we met up with that one other landscaper, first name Bill. And I'm like, he goes, I introduced, and I'm like, he didn't recognize me with the beard because I haven't seen him in 20 years. I'm like, "Remember Timber Creek Nursery?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." And I went to get his number. I'm like, "Oh, you're already in my phone from 20 years ago." So, I guess that's some kudos just to be known, but I'm really not looking for anything much more than that, to be honest with you. Most important thing to be family and friends.
It was a perfect answer, Brandon. You don't diminish the answer. That's it. Your legacy is your legacy. It doesn't make a difference. That's what you want.
That's what's important. Honestly, that's what's important to me.
Yeah, and honestly, being very proud father myself, that's one of mine, just to be the best dad I can be. And, it's like weird. I get these like newspaper articles and magazines, and I find myself like proofing them and being like, hey, add my daughter, you know, because it's like, it's like, yeah, you know, she's like everything to me. So that's good, Brandon. This is why I love you so much. Like I said, you've always
Well, I guess
been.
look at Tanner. He's a hermit, so he gets it from somewhere. He doesn't even want to know anybody.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Tanner does keep himself, but he's going to get put out of his comfort zone because I'm bringing his ass on the podcast one of these days too. So,
All right, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, you know, the goal for me is like I always say, you know, is you know, it's kind of like paying it forward, you know, with everything that I'm trying to just say why we're doing what we're doing in the industry. And, you know, I felt like what better to do than to bring one of my mentors on my podcast to just kind of take a trip down memory lane and show how, you know, when you keep good relationships in life, you find yourself hanging around really good people for a really long time, you know? So that's what I feel about.
Joe, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited with this endeavor. And, you know, I've said before, the universe has a plan. This plan started 20 years ago. You riding around the nursery, and between that and the webs that I don't want to get into with other companies and stuff that we've kind of pulled together on. This whole plan started 20 years ago. The universe has a plan.
Yeah,
it doesn't guarantee you anything, but it'll put you in the right situation. So I feel very lucky to be here and have this opportunity.
Good. Well, I feel very lucky to have you. So,
all right, thanks.
So with that, this is going to conclude our episode here at Automating Success Show. We're going to need to know what your song is, by the way. You know, you got an intro song. So what's your favorite, most relevant song right now that would get you just totally hyped?
God, let's go with Bad to the Bone.
All right, Bad to the Bone. That's a good one. Awesome. By the way, you laughing like that, you totally reminded me of Tanner. So that's actually kind of funny. So, all right. Very good, Brandon.
All right, man. All right. Thanks, Joe. Have a great day. Bye.